Just remember, I mean, change it some. Why in there? YouTube. Refreshing page. We are all Casado, I say, Kofu.
About internationalization of higher education. And there's just the right person with us here. His dream of putting together the best policies and practices from various universities across the world is what gave birth to this place called Ashesi, bringing the best from the US, from Canada, and even from Africa. And we think that he's the best person to chair the occasion for today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the president and founder of Ashesi, Dr. Bakibile.
thank you all very much for coming. And I'd like to first say welcome to Ashesi, and hey, welcome to Ashesi. Thanks for choosing this as the venue for this year's Africa University Day in Ghana. I'm going to be very brief because I'm hoping that we will have more time actually for a conversation with all of you around the question of internationalization. So I'm not going to be speaking for very long. I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you. As Araba said, Ashesi is very, very committed to this idea of connecting with the world and collaborating with the world. We're very serious about internationalization. We have a Department of Diversity and International Programs that does a lot of work in connecting us with other countries in Africa and with other countries around the world. The question is, why? Why do we do this? When we think about internationalization, there are a few things that come to mind to all of us. One is diversity and inclusion. Another is world class. When we talk about being international, we often think about being world class. And the thing about trying to be world class is that in order to be world class, the world must be here. I'll say again, in order for our universities to be world class, the world must be present in our universities. And this is one of the reasons why we take this so serious at Ashesi. The second is that in order to be international, we must visit the world. And that means we must be sending our faculty out to international conferences. It means we must be subscribed to international journals. It means we must be publishing in international journals. And it means that we must be sending our students to other universities around the world, and we must be sending our students to do internships around the world. At Ashesi, when we negotiate study abroad partnerships with US universities, we do not negotiate for them to pay us to send their students here. What we negotiate instead is for our students to have a swap with them. So if they send one student to Ashesi, we send one student to their institution. And our student pays their fees here, their students pay their fees there, and they just cross borders. So it's really a partnership of equals. It really is a partnership of connecting our students and our faculty to the world and bringing the world, their students and their faculty to Ashesi. And I'll talk a little bit about international journals. So I was at a conference last week, 2 weeks ago, in Kigali in Rwanda. And I saw something that was really startling. It was the cover page of a journal article in the journal Science, research that had been done and published in 1982, that stated that scientists had come to Africa, they had done blood tests around the continent, and they had found Ebola antigens in blood of people in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea in 1982. And it wasn't a journal that required our institutions and everybody to pay for to get access to those journals. The question is, why didn't we know that Ebola was here? Even though it was known in the world, and it was published in the world, why didn't we know? Perhaps because our scientists and our public health officials were not taking the time or spending the money to do something as simple as subscribing to the journal Science, and they were not taking the time to read the journal Science. If we want to be international, we must connect to the world. The third thing that what we think about when we think international is that we must be collaborative. It means that we must share our knowledge with the world. It means we must proceed with confidence. It means we must be confident to publish our own journals that publish information that is relevant to us, to Africans, and to share that with the world. It means we must be writing case studies about our entrepreneurs and our businesses and sharing that with the world, and not only looking at international journals as the standard. In other words, Africa and African publications and African knowledge must be what we also consider as international. Fourth, I would say we must be very pan-African. The borders between our countries are too hard. We need to soften the borders between our countries. At Ashesi, there are over 20 countries represented here among the student body and the faculty. The reason is we want to connect with Kenya, we want to connect with Rwanda, we want to connect with Cote d'Ivoire, we want to connect with Togo. We want to connect with other African countries, and we want the future leaders of our country to be connected to the future leaders of other African countries. And we need them to learn how to communicate effectively across cultures, and we need them to begin now the process of softening our borders. Finally, I want to talk about international best practices. When we think about internationalization, we should also think about what are the best practices around the world, not only in teaching and learning or research and innovation, but also in things such as how we manage our institutions, the administration of our universities, in terms of what kind of accreditation structure we have in our country. Now, I want to talk a little bit about accreditation in Ghana. I am not so convinced that it is really up to international standards. In the sense that we've got this affiliation system, we've got a system where every semester of every year for at least 10 years, a new university must have its exam questions monitored by another university. Every semester, every question for a minimum of 10 years. I don't know of any other country on planet Earth where this happens. It is not really the international standard of accreditation. And I think it's costly because what it does is we spend a lot of time dealing with a bureaucratic structure that takes time out of the public universities and puts it into the private universities. And it takes time out of the private university faculty in preparing all of these things. And perhaps we should do more of a statistical sampling. We should be looking at really what are the standards around the world and how do we really improve efficiency in our country. And I don't want to end on a negative note. I do think that allowing a private university system has been a very good thing for Ghana. I know that when the public university faculty are negotiating the salaries, the Labor Commission comes and asks us for our salary structure. And I know that since the private university started, the salaries of public university professors has gone up, and the profession of professorship in Ghana has become more sustainable. The brain drain has declined because the salaries have gone up closer to international standards. We're not quite at international standards because we're not as wealthy as in other countries. But there is a trajectory here that is positive and that we should take a lot of hope in. I think that there's a lot more learning that is going on between our institutions. And we need to continue to do those things. And as we think about internationalization, we should also think about how we connect with Africa and how we connect with each other within Ghana. At Ashesi, I think it's fair to say that we have a lot more international collaboration with other universities outside of Ghana than we have with universities within Ghana. But that is also not international best practice. If you go to the United Kingdom, the universities are collaborating with each other. If you go to the United States, the universities are collaborating with each other. If you go to China, the universities are collaborating with each other. And so one of the international best practices that we should do here in Ghana is a real sense of partnership between our institutions. Joint research, joint academic work, we do sporting events between our institutions. These sorts of things we need to sort of energize within our country. And so I'm really grateful to AAU for helping to drive this. Just 2 days ago, they hosted an event on benchmarking between universities, which is going to help us collaborate with each other, brought us all together from around the continent. Having this event hosted at different university campuses is also part of that spirit of connecting us to each other. And so I want to end with a very big word of thanks to AAU for driving this agenda of becoming more Pan-African and becoming more international. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Now I would like to introduce two young ladies who are going to take over from here and then make sure everything works well. I have two young ladies with me, Nadia and Kezia. They are both students here at Ashesi. They are both in their second year, right? And they will continue with the program. Let's give a hand to the young ladies.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Now we know you have had an interesting ride, and that's motivated to have an interesting hill to Ashesi. And once again, I want to say welcome to Ashesi University College. We want to move right on with the program, and to do that, we want to start with the acknowledgement of special guests. Join me as we appreciate the representatives from Islamic University College. I welcome them with a hand of
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Nasford University College.
Ghana Institute of Languages. The Ghana
School of Social Work.
Wisconsin International University.
University of Professional Studies, Accra.
All African Student Union, ANSU.
Ghana Technology University College.
Spurgeon University College. And Project Management Program.
University of Energy and Natural Resources.
Christian Service University College.
Maritime University.
Tech, Accra, Headquarters Africa.
And our very own Ashesi University College.
Next on our program, we want to take goodwill messages from the following representatives. Now we have Val Kwesi Edu to give us a goodwill message. Please come up to fill the front seat. Faculty review, the NUGS president, AASU Edry, and the All African Student Union. Please come up to fill the front seat.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, celebration, Executive General of Congress, other distinguished personalities of the high school, heads of institutions, representatives from various institutions across this country. I bring you warm greetings from two secretariats, one from the National Ghana Conference, where I serve as the president, and also from the secretariat of the All African Students Union, representing the Secretary General, our friend, who would love to be here, but he's on official assignment in Nigeria currently. The All African Students Union, as you may be aware, is the umbrella union representing all national students union across the continent Africa. And the National Ghana Students is the union representing all students of Ghana, be you a Ghanaian or not. You are a member of the National Ghana Students as founding students. We from us in Luz, therefore, are very grateful and honored to associate ourselves with the AAU and to join me to celebrate the African University Day. Higher education, of course, play a very pivotal role in national development, hence the development of Africa as a continent. And if we are talking about internalization of higher education, then we at All African Students Union and youth are seeing from the perspective that we are seeing our educational system not be limited within our country's boundaries or the African continent as a country, but going beyond the boundary of Africa and setting standards that are widely accepted and that can be used and applicable in all situations. If the African University Day is celebrated here at Ashesi University, and we are building a celebrating this anniversary on this day, and we would like to congratulate the organizers for this celebration and also congratulate the All African Universities for putting in place such a celebration. Moving forward, the National Ghana Students would like to say that if the Association of African Universities or the universities across this country can actually go very well in ensuring quality higher education, then it is imperative and proper that continually the students leaders across this country and across this continent are continuously engaged, not only invited to participate in programs, but also engaged. And we have realized that most heads of institutions and the AAU are doing that, and we see kudos for the good work you are doing. And we, the student fund, will continue to support you in any policy you formulate, and as well as you formulate this policy, we also contribute our quota in its effective implementation, evaluation, and monitoring as well. We would like to wish all of us here a fruitful celebration, and we pray that in our educations, as duties assigned to us, we will be implemented. We from the National Ghana Students are working with a particular leadership formula, and if you permit us, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to share that formula with you. That is Q1 plus Q2 plus FA equals C. The Q1 is the quality of leadership we give to people that have elected us or appointed us to office. AAU, you have the mandate to deliver and execute quality leadership to all universities within Africa. The Q2 is the quantity of service you render to the people that you are leading. And the MA is the mental attitude and attitude, I believe, for the good of the African continent and for the good of ensuring quality higher education across this country and across the globe as well. And the C is the proposition you receive as a reward from God or from purpose in the country. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In case you just joined us, that was Ashesi, who is the NUGS president. We omitted one special university in our midst, and because we omitted them, we would like to call them to move to the front seat Let us, with a round of applause, welcome Regent University College. Please give them a round of applause. Is there any representative from All Nations University here? Please give them a round of applause. So without further ado, I'd like to call a representative from Ashesi University, who is our very own Dr. Marcia France, to give us a good message. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you, and I want to add to the welcome that Patrick has given me. It's just delightful to see so many representatives from universities throughout Ghana and also people who have studied and come from universities from across the continent in AAU. So I want to say thank you, dear AAU. We are honored here at Ashesi to host today's event and to be a part of this important organization because we are promoting higher education across the continent. We'd like to congratulate the AAU today because we're focusing on this very important topic of internationalization of higher education. And one of the things I love to say about Ashesi is that we are really international. And someone may correct me on my statistics, but of 680 students, we have how many international students?
It's 26%.
26%, so around 100. And when I say international, I mean Kenya, Zimbabwe, Zambia, I mean Rwanda, I mean Nigeria, the Gambia, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Vietnam, Cameroon, etc. I said Togo, it's not. We are an international university, and we have a long ways to go. Because one of the things that we congratulate you again, AAU, you are working to benchmark data about the African university sector. One of the things, as we all know, those of us who are faculty and who are students or who are administrators, we all struggle to get our research done and our writing done. And I wrote a chapter this fall and really suffered, as people around me know, maybe I made them suffer too, that there wasn't good data about African universities. I could not say in my chapter how many small, private, liberal arts institutions exist across Africa. So we have a real challenge, and I am very happy that the Association of African Universities is working to fill this big gap. Before I quit, I would like to underline something that Patrick said to us all this afternoon, and that is that we have a wonderful opportunity in internationalization to work both under the influence of something that Patrick on different sectors of academic public university. And that is, and we have across the opportunity in doing research and in creating knowledge here in Africa, because that's what research is. It's the creation of knowledge. And it's a big challenge, and AAU is at the forefront of this. So congratulations. And I want to congratulate all of the people who are here from the public universities, as well as the private universities, because you have trailblazed for us higher education. I happen to have taught in a public university in Nigeria way back when, at the University of Ibadan in the 1960s. And it was a wonderful, wonderful university. And I visited the University of Ghana in the 60s, 1960s, here, and it was so exciting And so many of these great scholars have continued in these universities. So we want to thank these public universities for this trailblazing. Now, we'll look forward to the opportunity to hear from you, sir, very soon as president of the AAU. And again, welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marshall. Now, everyone can take a look at the program right now. We all have access to those. Looking at this program right now, you see us speak by just one person. So distinguished with this person that I do not have the honors. I mean, I wish I could, but then there's a more distinguished person to introduce this person for this occasion. I want to call upon Ms. Nodowo Dlamini to introduce the AAU Secretary General today. Let's put our hands together as she comes back.
Thank you. It is an honor for me to introduce Professor Etienne Ehile, my boss at the Association of African Universities Secretariat. Before, Professor Ehile worked as a Deputy Minister of Health and Public Hygiene in Côte d'Ivoire from 2010 to 2011. And he's also the former president of the University of Abo Adjame in Côte d'Ivoire, where he spent 2 terms of 4 years each between 2001 and 2010. Prior to taking up office as the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. Professor Ehile is not new to AAU because before he joined AAU, he was already an active member of the Association of African Universities Board since 2005. He is an Ivorian by nationality, and he is a trained physiologist. He graduated from the Faculty of Science at the University of Abidjan in 1974, where he obtained his MPhil degree. He then moved to the University of Aix-Marseille in France and obtained his doctorate degree in neurophysiology with honors in 1978. His research work was conducted at the Neurophysiology Laboratory of National Scientific Research Center in France. From France, Professor Ehile joined the National University of Côte d'Ivoire as a lecturer and researcher in 1978 and was appointed senior lecturer in 1985. And he was admitted to the rank of full professor with accreditation from the African and Madagascar Council of Higher Education in 1991. Through his research interests in electrophysiology, Professor Ehile obtained a scholarship from the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology in Kenya, and he conducted some work on electrophysiology techniques in stem borers, sensilla, with the aim of ascertaining their sensitivity to various plant species extracts, for which he has several papers published in various regional and international scientific journals. From 1992 to date, as you would expect, Professor Ehile has held numerous management and administrative positions. I will not list all of them, but I'll just mention a few. He has been the chairman of the Conference of Rectors of Francophone Africa and Indian Ocean Universities. He has been the chairman of the Network for Excellence in Higher Education in West Africa.
He has been the chairman of the Scientific and Academic Committee and board member of International Institute of Water Engineering and Environment. He has been in the steering committee of the Association for the Development of Education in Africa Working Group on Higher Education. And he has also been a member of the CAMES. And he has also been a member of the Consultative Council of Agencies of Universities in the Francophone region. In addition, Professor Ehile has played a prominent role in CAMES. If you remember what CAMES is the quality assurance body in the Francophone, and he is an expert on the NMD reform in Francophone countries. Until his appointment as the Secretary General of AAU, Professor Ehile was the chairman of the National Assessment and Evaluation Committee of Higher Education and Research for institutions in Côte d'Ivoire. I'm pleased to welcome Professor Ehile and ask him to come and give us his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. One thing is very interesting. We have here three persons speaking English, but not with the same accent. So allow me to speak with my Francophone accent.
No problem.
Mr. Chair, the founder and president of Ashesi University, Dr. Patrick Awa, Your Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, our guest speaker, who is Professor Disgonu, President of the Accra Institute of Technology, esteemed Vice Chancellor, and members of the Association of African Universities, religious and traditional rulers, members of the Governing Council, and principal officers of the Ashesi University, special invited guests, students, and representatives of All Africa Student Union, the National Union of Ghana Students, and of members of the press, students, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. On behalf of the governing board of the Association of African Universities, the entire membership of the AAU, and my colleagues at the AAU Secretariat, I take this opportunity to welcome you all from across the length and breadth of Ghana and beyond to the Ashesi University to this very important event on the calendar of Africa's higher education, the celebration of African University Day. I would like to express our special appreciation to the high authorities of the Republic of Ghana here present, to various vice chancellors and representatives of public and private higher education institutions in Ghana for having found a slot in their heavy schedule to attend this ceremony, which is a testimony of their usual commitment and interest to higher education. I would also like to express our special appreciation to the President and all board members of Ashesi University, as well as the world university community for hosting the event this year. This is the fourth time I am celebrating the African University Day in Ghana, as Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. I am therefore honored to be here with all of you to celebrate this important milestone in the activities of the AAU. The Association of African Universities Secretariat is always pleased to have a Ghanaian university AFA to host us in celebrating the African University Day. For us, this demonstrates the continuation of the support AAU enjoys from Ghana and her higher education institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to take advantage of this platform to brief you about the Association of African Universities. The Association of African Universities is the apex organization and forum for consultation, exchange of information, and cooperation among institutions of higher education in Africa. It represents the voice of higher education in Africa on the regional and international bodies and supports networking by institutions of higher education in teaching, research, information exchange, and dissemination. Founded on November 12, 1967, by representatives of 34 of the then 46 institutions of high learning, the Association of African Universities is headquartered in Accra, Ghana, and currently has a membership of over 350 higher education institutions from across Africa and still countries. Let me say a few words about the background to African University Day. Ladies and gentlemen, the African University Day was instituted and given international backing as a result of the close links between the Organization of African Unity, now African Union, and the Association of African Universities. Following its establishment in 1967, the AAU was accepted as part of the evolving Pan-African organizations under the general umbrella of the OAU. The founding fathers of the association envisioned the AAU as an association that would bring together African universities in the same way as the OAU has brought together newly independent African countries. In 1994, and to coincide with the anniversary of the AAU, the Organization of African Unity declared 12th November of every year as African University Day in pursuance of Resolution CM/RES 1534 passed by the OAU Council of Ministers in June of that year. The African University Day has since been observed and celebrated by AAU member institutions and other higher education establishments. Distinguished guests, the Association of African Universities is the designated lead and implementing agency on higher education in the African Union's second decade of education in Africa, 26 to 2015. Through its quality assurance program, the association is collaborating with the African Union Commission to, among other things, promote quality development and assurance in African higher education and all its dimensions, including the development of regional and continental frameworks to facilitate the mobility of students and staff. The AAU runs several programs for both staff and students of higher education institutions in Africa. The current programs are available on our website, www.aau.org. Notably, the association has also been instrumental in building the capacity of member universities through its program, among them being the Leadership Development Program, LEDEL, the Management Development Program, MADEL, and the University Advancement Program, as well as in documenting and showcasing the theses and dissertation from African universities, in offering small grants for the completion of postgraduate theses, in facilitating university industry linkages, in creating African centers of excellence to provide quality education to speed up the continent's development, and in advocating and assisting to create research and education networks in Africa to negotiate higher bandwidth at cheaper prices for higher education institutions in Africa. AAU has also been designated to coordinate the ECOWAS Academic Mobility Scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, the connect between higher education and socio-economic development of any country is unquestionable. Such a link is all the more relevant for Africa, especially Sub-Saharan Africa, which faces enormous development challenges. One direct contribution of higher education to development is through producing graduates who can then be employed in professions, the public sector, business and industry, and contribute to knowledge application, innovation, and increased productivity. Higher education institutions have two important responsibilities in their teaching mission: to run programs that are relevant to their country's needs, and to provide the necessary skills to their students to facilitate their eventual employment. However, there appears to be a mismatch between the educational provision in Africa and the needs of the labor market, resulting in the twin problem of graduate unemployability and graduate unemployment. In Ghana, we are informed that there is already an association of unemployed graduates, but I must tell you that the situation cuts across the world continent. While both exogenous and endogenous factors have been identified as impacting negatively on the employment and employability of graduates, Africa cannot withstand the impact of another Arab Spring, which was orchestrated by the frustration of the harassed and unemployed graduates in Tunisia. It is against the reality on the ground that AAU has chosen as theme of this year's African University Day celebration, internationalization of higher education in Africa. This theme was aptly chosen in line with that for 2015 AAU Conference of Rectors, Vice Chancellors, and Presidents of African Universities, held in Kigali, Rwanda, early June this year. Ladies and gentlemen, by the end of 2012, a total of 33 African countries celebrated 50 years of independence. The year 2013 also marks the 15th anniversary celebration of the African Union, former Organization of African Unity, that was formed in 1963, and with great pride, I At the next General Conference in 2017, the Association of African Universities will also celebrate 50 years of serving the African continent as its voice for matters pertaining to higher education and developmental issues. These milestones represent meaningful opportunities to reframe how we conceptualize education challenges, opportunities to reinforce our commitment to socio-economic development, and opportunities to respond with innovative strategies in higher education to achieve these development commitments. At the time of international millennium goal setting and discussion of an African renaissance, it is critical that we collectively reflect on the meaning of these milestones and the challenges that confront us as educators. These challenges include high graduate unemployment, the need to improve quality, and rapidly changing labor market needs in knowledge-based and resource-based economies. This message is the basis of the theme for this year's conference, Internationalization of Higher Education in Africa. As members of the global knowledge economy, universities all over the world are increasingly being encouraged to internationalize or plug into the world system in order to reap the benefits of global interconnectedness and avoid the disadvantages of isolation. Operating in a global environment requires that higher education institutions, and especially those in Africa, should go international in order to operate effectively. According to Philippe Albert and Jane Knight, globalization and internationalization are related, but not the same thing. Globalization is the context of economic and academic trends that are part of the reality of the 21st century. Internationalization includes the policies and practices undertaken by academic systems and institutions and even individuals to cope with the global academic environment. Knight Jane in 2003 defined it as the process of integrating an international, intercultural, or global dimension into the purpose, function of delivery of post-secondary education. As an association, the Association of African Universities is dedicated to conceptualizing the new African graduate, examining how universities can become effective vehicles of sustainable development, how to improve its character of university and higher education advancement, and exploring how it can develop partnership with diverse stakeholders within and outside Africa. In this regard, the implementation of African Union harmonization strategy for higher education, supported by the revised Addis Ababa Convention, covers, among other things, the design of common curriculum development framework to enable comparability and equivalences of learning outcomes in African universities. It is in the context that the AUC, the European Commission, and the AAU work closely together and two high-profile support for the strategy, the harmonization, quality assurance, and Accreditation Initiative, and the Harmonization and Tuning Initiative, which are an integral part of the joint Africa-European Union strategy. Tuning is an internationally recognized method for defining modern and relevant degrees among groups of universities from different continents and countries. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, the AAU is further playing a key role in promoting and sustaining best practices across higher education institutions on the continent. This has been possible through our various development partners, some of whom are represented here today, namely African Capacity Building Foundation, USAID, World Bank, ADB, ABC, etc. I am also pleased to report that 3 institutions from Cote d'Ivoire recently joined the African Center of Excellence project being facilitated by the AAU with funding from World Bank. This currently brings the number of African Center of Excellence to 22 in West and Central Africa, and 3 of which were from Ghana. The African Center of Excellence project seeks to promote regional specialization among universities within areas that address regional development challenges and strengthen the capacity of these universities to deliver high-quality training and applying research in sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as well as health and agricultural sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would not like to take the wind out of the sails of Professor Zidonous, President of African Institute of Technology. His experiences, as well as his unable leadership, make me confident of his delivery and the team building his presentation. Once again, I would like to thank Ashesi University for hosting as well as chairing this year's African University Day celebration. To all our excellencies, honorable guests, students, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for joining us on this special day for higher education in Africa. Thank you for your attention.
Before Professor Clement comes up here, I'd like to share something with you. The first ever university in the world was established in Timbuktu, that's in Africa. If he was in existence, he would have been involved there. He is smart, very artistic, but with his words. He's creative, but most importantly, he is African. Let us, with a round of applause, welcome Ahonka to give us a poetry recital.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ahonka, and I will be delivering a piece. It's called Hide and Seek. It seems like all the people on my continent only wish to play hide and seek, to peer through cracks and watch injustices than to speak, to mark their conundrums passively than to seek every act of indifference making us weak, consoling themselves with old cliches like the wrong will return to the meek, praying behind closed doors for change, but I don't remember them ever saying that fortune favors the meek. Favoring excuses like wisdom, white blinds the hand from which you eat, raise their voices, but when it comes time to make a stand, they look for front row seats, twiddle their thumbs and wash their feet. So show me the person I'm to aspire to be. It seems like the people of my continent only wish to play hide and seek. They'd rather be tongue in cheek, while be chaff and be weeds. Be the drive this generation needs, be a mammoth mahogany rather than weeds. Why stay quiet and weather like falling leaves? People who substitute impetus and in place fail to focus on the needs. People with potential as vast as seas, and sometimes encourage as little as peas. At the end of the day, how do you use your soul and handle the difference to wash your conscience? To show me the person I'm to aspire to be. It seems like the people of my continent only wish to play hide and seek, turning their comfort zones into mountain peaks. So show me the person I'm to aspire to be. Far too scared to even take a peek. So show me the person I'm to aspire to be. Worry about the discomfort that they might meet. So show me the person I'm to aspire to be. Far too nervous to even take a look at what the stars read. So you show me the person I'm to aspire to be. Ignoring the sour taste of apathy, please. Show me the person I'm to aspire to be. Is the change likely? Show me the person I'm to aspire to be. The people of my continent, it seems, have finally grown tired of playing hide and seek. They have decided to change the rules drastically, build institutions where they can nurture seeds, build a new future, a new beginning for the world to see. They have tired of sitting by and watching on airily as life passes them by steadily. Instead, they have placed their faith in me and in many like me to take a step further than they did previously. A beautiful home for my mind to be free. I finally see the person I'm to aspire to be. The people of my continent have finally grown tired of playing hide and seek. They want to rebuild, to create a new age for the continents. They want to sculpt our future. Creativity is the mark of genius. Create things, work with hands that once lay idle. They wish to build our future. Tinker with the old and reimagine the new. Chart a different path. Create new things. Build new things. Be new things. Be different things. Be great things. Build great things. Build small things. Build and build and build and build. And it all starts here, with a dream to change things. The people of my continent have finally grown tired of playing hide and seek. Today, we shall be seen. Thank you.
That was a beautiful feedback and as well as feedback again. And I must add that they are also members of Ashesi University College. Now, I am really honored to have you in our midst. So, I'll take a round of applause to Professor Ahile to introduce Professor Jonathan and class. Professor Jonathan,
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am now going to introduce Professor Clement Tizolu. Professor Tizolu is the founding president of the Accra Institute of Technology. He is a world-renowned full professor of computer science, educator, and author. He received a meritorious award from distinguished services to the field of computer science in 1998. In 1999, he was awarded the Outstanding People of the 20th Century Medal by the International Biographical Center, Cambridge, UK, for his contribution to university education in general and to the field of computer science in particular. Professor Tizolu is listed in the who is who in the world as a distinguished educator and also acknowledged in the who is who in science and engineering in the USA. In the recognition of his immense contribution to the field of technology, He was awarded the World Technology Award in 2003, the first African to win this prestigious international award. The other winners of this award were Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, Al Gore, the former Vice President of the USA, and the Nobel laureate 2000, and Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda. Professor Zenu has a vast experience in the area of providing modern university education in the technological area. His vision as the founding president of Accra Institute of Technology is to do all he can to work towards the achievement of the Cradle of Excellence mission of the university. Professor Zenu has also been involved with the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, and issues relevant to individual Internet users since 1998. He has been at the forefront of the development of the Internet in African universities. He is widely published in a number of journal and newspaper articles about the Internet and the ICANN process and computer science related areas. We now welcome Professor Zenu to speak to us about the internationalization of higher education, examining the issues from Africa's perspective.
Thank you very much.
The last time I was Ashesi University was at the Bonnie campus. Is it working?
No, it was.
It was until I took it. Where is it? Thank you very much. Is it okay now? It's okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Patrick Dewar, President of Ashesi University College, Professor Etienne Healy, General Secretary of the Institution of African Universities, colleagues, excellencies present today. It's quite a privilege to visit your new campus, and I want to congratulate your president on this. As I was saying, last time I visited your university, we were at Gabon. I came for accreditation business. We had a related fight on the accreditation process. It's great that we moved to this new campus. It's great that we have it. The chairman, I have been invited by the African Association of African Universities to speak on the topic internationalization of higher education, examining the issues from African perspective. First of all, I want to thank the AU for the opportunity to be the guest speaker on such an important topic on the occasion of the 2015 African University Day. The chairman, although being an advocate for the use of technology in higher education, I have decided this time to take a break from technology to give a talk, the old-fashioned way, without a PowerPoint presentation. To be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I gave a talk without a PowerPoint. So I'm determined not to parade my limitations without using the computer, without using the PowerPoint to make a presentation. So here we go. Let me start with what I will tell you this afternoon. I will tell you, I will make some attempt to define and scope what the literature is saying about the issue of internationalization of universities. I will speculate on some of the goals and the reasons why universities are internationalizing and why they are internationalizing. I will examine the extent to which internationalization of universities within the content of African countries and examine some of the challenges and some of the implications for African universities. And I will also examine the issue of the demographic dividends and its implications to African universities within the content of internationalization of higher education. Defining and scoping IHE, internationalization of higher education. The question is, we need to start with, is there a reasonable consensus on the definition of what is internationalization of higher education? I'm afraid the answer is not really. We don't have a consensus. For example, some have the view that the term internationalization is being used more and more in the literature, and in some cases it's confusing. NIT 2006, whose definition is widely adopted in literature, define it as a process of integrating an international, intercultural dimension into teaching, learning, and research activities of a given institution. For some writers and commentators, it's a means of a series of international activities such as academic mobility for students and faculty, international linkages, partnership, projects, and so on. For others, it means delivering education to other countries using a variety of face-to-face means and distance education technologies. And to some, it means including an international, intercultural, and global dimension in curricular setting, teaching, and learning process. Still others, Mr. Chairman, see international development projects, or alternatively, the increasing emphasis on trade in higher education as internationalization of higher education. Mr. Chairman, the lack of consensus definition of what is IHE is notwithstanding, others try to scope the issue within a historical perspective. The literature pointed out that during the 1960s, the most commonly used terms were international cooperation, international relations, and international education. According to Magazine and Sawi, during the first decade of the 21st century, less emphasis has been given to the development activities and more to the academic mobility, which include students, research, program, providers moving across borders. They pointed out that also characterizing this stage has been a greater orientation towards commercialization and market-driven activities in higher education. A third defining characteristic they pointed out has been some substantial growth in international academic networks, partnerships, and sometimes collaboration, which are sometimes not mutually beneficial to some parts of the regions of the world. Still on a historical context, it is argued that international dimension is a key factor shaping and challenging the higher education sector all over the world since the 1990s. And it has become a formidable force for change, perhaps the central feature of higher education sector today. Landmarks of changing horizon were identified in the literature to include the following: the development of new international network and consortia, the growing numbers of students, professors, and researchers participating in academic mobility schemes, more emphasis on developing international and intercultural global competencies, stronger interest in international teams and collaborative research, a growing number of cross-border delivery of academic programs, the emphasis given to recruiting foreign students the rise of number of joint and double degrees, the expansion in partnership, franchises, offshore and satellite campuses, and so on and so on. This debate on internationalization notwithstanding, it has also pointed out that there is also a confusion in the literature about the relationship between internationalization and globalization. In other words, is internationalization the same thing as globalization? Some in fact argue that in today's changing world, the idea of internationalization of higher education, especially in developing countries, has been deduced from globalization of the education process. The Chairman, I don't intend to resolve the debate of what is or what is not IHE this afternoon. And certainly, I'm not intend to resolve whether it will relate to globalization or not. However, for us to see our way forward, please let me settle on the fact that internationalization of higher education in one form or the other is not a new phenomenon, and that it has in recent decades grown into greater proportion, impacted in various ways on higher education systems and institutions all over the world, including those in Africa. According to one view, over the last 15 years, a number of universities, especially those in the developed north, have spent a great number of hours setting up task forces and committees charged specifically to devise plans for internationalized or globalized their institutions. And a number of that, those universities have put millions of resources into this question, addressing this question, why they should internationalize and whether internationalization is important. According to 2008, internationalization is changing the world of higher education, and globalization is changing the world of internationalization. In your view, key drivers of this transformation are the development of advanced communication and technological services, the dominance of the knowledge society, increased international labor mobility, more emphasis on market economy and trade liberalization, increased level of private investment, and decreased public support for higher education. Landlord money and others are all things, in her view, are forces driving IHE. She noted that in the 21st century, progresses that in the international dimension is becoming increasingly important, at the same time more complex and sophisticated. Mr. Chairman, it can be argued that higher education has become part of the globalization process, and as such, its activities in the area of the delivery and the provision of teaching and learning, as well as research and other collaborating activities, cannot be strictly viewed within the confines of national boundaries. Some are of the view that the reality of internationalization of higher education and its attendant impact on education is an urgent priority for higher education, especially those in developing countries, including Africa. We will examine some of these issues of the impact and implication on Africa later. But suffice to say, Mr. Chairman, that internationalization of higher education is a worldwide phenomenon with major and minor players, providers and recipients of services, winners and losers, and it is now part and parcel of what higher education has been doing for years, and globalization and the emerging information technologies is going to increase the tempo, the intensity, and the tentacles of this phenomenon, which by all indication is here to stay and grow. Let me now turn my attention to some of the goals and the reason for internationalization. Mr. Chairman, enable us to further scope the IAH phenomenon better, let us examine some of the possible goals and reasons why institutions are internationalizing. Stating some of the goals, could educating of global citizens be one of the goals? Could it be to expand the international reach and dimension of institutions be one of the goals? Could it be to produce global citizens while remaining competitive nationally and internationally be one of the goals? On the question of why internationalize, is it because universities must internationalize in order to educate their students to be global citizens? Is it because universities must internationalize in order to raise money? by maintaining a competitive edge to attract more foreign students? Is it because universities see it as an obligation to educate students to live and work in a new international setting? Why are we internationalizing? The chairman, the literature has some answers. The literature identifies some of the reasons why higher education institutions globally are engaged in IAG activity. Some are mobility and exchange of students and faculty, international student recruitment, teaching and research collaboration, academic standards and quality, research projects, cooperation and development assistance, curriculum development and international intercultural activities, promotion of the profile of the universities, the diversification of faculty and students, regional issues and integration, and of course, the diversification of income-generating activities of universities. It is fair to say that despite this list of IAG goals and reasons, student mobility and international student recruitment are the most visible and most topical of all. To some, student mobility and recruitment, which in their view benefit mainly higher educational institutions in few developed countries, provide some of the evidence of the dangers and the challenges that higher educational institutions face in developing countries, including those of Africa. Let's examine some of the statistics. Mr. Chairman, there has been significant growth in higher education student mobility for the past 2 decades, resulting in the number of students studying abroad rising by 50% from 1.6 million in 1999 to 2.5 million in 2004. In 2009, more than 3.4 million students were studying outside their home country, and UNESCO projects that by 2020, this number will grow to 7 million. Beneficiary institutions are mainly those from the north: USA, UK, Canada, and Australia. And the students are mainly from the south, in the least developed to reasonably developing countries. For now, USA remains the most popular country for international students, followed by the United Kingdom, France, and Australia, with half of all international students pursuing degrees in these 5 countries coming from the south. However, USA and UK traditional market share is declining, with Australia and Canada increasing their share. The USA is the world's largest market for international study, accounting for 26% of all students study abroad, with UK following far behind with 9.6. The USA earned $14 billion of the $28 billion of educational export in 2009. So the US earned half of the total money made from international students in 2005. With the federal and state support for higher education reducing by the year, universities and colleges in the US are intensifying their marketing and recruitment efforts targeted at international students to generate revenue to meet their budgetary shortfalls. In a survey of US universities published in the Chronicle of Higher Education, predicted that over the next decade, a number of high school graduates will decrease, and this changing demographics is going to decrease the number of enrollment in US universities. The report pointed out that with the traditional base of students so unpredictable from year to year in the US colleges are increasingly turning their attention to stable sources of student recruitment, particularly international students, with more and more colleges setting overseas for the students because they believe international students pay the full fees. That is very important. The report noted that international students are becoming a source of new recruitment market for American colleges more than before. The US remains the world top destination for international students. And according to the Institute of International Education, admission officers at 7 out of 10 research university survey said that they are paying more attention to recruiting students from 2 foreign countries than 2 local. Also, it's been pointed out that in the OECD countries, the transition from elite to mass participation higher education is virtually complete. As the size of the 18 to the 25-year-olds decline in the OECD countries, some of these countries are facing a decrease in domestic enrollment, hence attracting foreign students is becoming a way to compensate. In fact, the British Council report indicated that because of changes in demographic changes and increased demand will mean that the percentage of international students from Nigeria to the UK is likely to overtake that of India by 2024. Referring to the issue of the global imbalance in international student mobility figures and the impact in Africa, Golam, who is a former General Secretary for the AAU, pointed out that 5% of the total students enrolled in Africa study outside the country. We continue. This makes Africa having the highest mobility rate in the world. African students reported out represent 10% of the total students in mobility in the world, and that made Africa the highest in 2010. He said that close to 400,000 students left Africa to study abroad in 2010, and a insignificant number left the other part of the world to study in Africa. In his view, Africa is the clear loser in student mobility, and he noted that these have implications for Great Britain. He quoted the 2009 International Association of Universities Global Study that pointed that African higher education institutions identified brain drain as the first of the three most important risks for internationalization for the region. A related issue to student mobility is an aspect of IAG is a fast-growing form of internationalization related to transnational education, sometimes through offshore campuses, franchises, and so on. The last few years saw many universities from the North America and Europe establishing franchises and offshore campuses all over the world. Over the past decade, a number of these universities have opened brand campuses overseas, bringing the total to 220 campuses worldwide in 2014. A number of these institutions are part of the internationalization program, targeted students recruitment by opening brand campuses in countries where demand is high and the costs are low. It is argued that offshore activities and international partnerships play a leading role in internationalization in the years to come. In fact, Australia recorded one of the best successes in the past 2 decades in this area. In fact, higher education export is the third largest export industry of Australia. And in 2009, it recorded an income of 18 billion. So, higher education internationalization is a serious business, and it's going to change everything. Now, let's come back to Africa. What are the implications of all this to Africa? Mr. Chairman, on the student mobility issue, it is well pointed out that as student mobility slowly changes, political and demographic changes continue to shape government educational system. Unlike in the case of Africa, Asian universities has in effect developed their own regional strategies to compete effectively. For instance, Asian countries have become more popular destinations for study abroad and for international exchange. As some argue, they are challenging the dominance of the West in respect to attracting and recruiting foreign students from their region. And in fact, they are actually gradually recruiting foreign students from Africa, and the prediction is that very soon we'll be leading the world in terms of internationalization of higher education. Also, although the number of offshore campuses and franchises established by Western higher education institutions are targeted at the affluent and emerging Asian countries, of recent, we are having some of these campuses open in Africa. For example, even our own Accra here, University of Lancaster as a brand campus. There are others, North American and European universities and Australian universities, who are establishing in some of the leading income African countries in Nigeria, Mauritius, Tunisia, Morocco, and more others. Many of these campuses have been explicitly designed to attract international students who might not be in a position to travel to Europe or to the US, USA, or even Asia. So basically, it has now moved from mobility to setting of bank campuses. Mr. Chairman, the highest education stakeholders in Africa, as you expected, are raising concerns about the implications of student mobility, recruitment of international international higher education issues, and so forth and so forth. Some commentators see this aspect of IAED within African context as new colonialism, imperialism agenda of the West. According to some, higher education in Africa and its internationalization is still primarily driven by external forces. Professor Golam, again, making the point that internationalization of higher education is being driven by globalization and led mainly by university in Europe, and this is having serious implications on African countries. The point is also being made that where African higher education hardly recruit international students from outside the continent, the majority of them are not even able to engage in intra-regional recruitment of what? International students. But I must say things are changing a little bit, especially in West Africa. That has attracted a lot of students from Nigeria and the South region. In East Africa too, there's a little bit of mobility within the region. And in South Africa too, I think there's some mobility that is quite few. Some refer to the evidence of the global survey that which says that African universities more prefer regionalization as against internationalization. In other words, they prefer to start from regionalization before they go to internationalization. Mr. Chairman, it could be argued that one of the main gatekeepers preventing the more aggressive higher educational institutions from other parts of the world from invading the African education space and to set up offshore campuses is the low dollar purchasing power of Africans compared to those in Asia. The point I'm making is that the reason why 35 American US colleges set up grand campuses in Japan because they thought Japan economy is going to grow. Out of that 35, only 2 survived. They all packed and left. In 19, because Japan was doing well, because of accreditation issues, because of recognition issues, and economic downturn of Japan, only 2 out of the 35 survived. The fact that 35 universities from the US can set up in one country in a few years shows that when the economic situation improves, we will actually get there. Mr. Chairman, before I end my speech, let me talk on the issue of the demographic dividend. The demographic dividend basically occurs when there's a change in your population structure. It's predicted that Africa is going to witness a demographic dividend, whereby its working age population is going to increase. From now until 2000, Africans' working age population between the age of 15 and 64 will be the highest compared to the rest of the world combined. In other words, African working age population, when compared to the rest of the world, will be the highest. These have serious implications. The implication is that we will have more university-going age people. We will have more people to train. In fact, an AML report predicted that in the very near future, most of the recruitment of the workforce for the world will take place in Africa. Because there is a declining population. It's a natural phenomenon. All populations are declining. African one is growing. The figures are quite staggering. This demographic dividend is only Africa which is going to experience it. The Asians have experienced it, and it's appropriate that actually brought up the Asian paradise. Because when you have a working age population between the 15 and the 64, these are the people who are going to drive the economy. These are the people who are going to be your middle class, provided you might be able to turn that into highly skilled and employable people. As a chairman, these have implications to the internationalization of our higher educational system. And it's very important for we in Sub-Saharan Africa to welcome that plan. If we don't do that, if we don't convert our working age population to highly skilled and employable, of course, your guesses are good at math. As I said, this phenomenon is only Africa which is going to experience it. Mr. Chairman, the issue of Africa's economy to support and fund university education for the increasing working age population is quite obvious. Will the current regime of internationalization of higher education compound the challenges posed by the need for us to take steps to educate and train the required workforce needed in order to benefit from the demographic needs? Reaping the economic benefits will require that these populations are trained. Educational expansion policies will need to be implemented. African countries will attract and target educational policies that will actually develop this working age population. And I believe that internationalization of African universities, okay, will Africa play a major role in the international sphere. Doing the collaborations that will improve quality, standard, research, and so forth, to build our economy through internationalization is something which is extremely important. Let me make my concluding remarks. There's no doubt that the world economy is experiencing the effect of globalization and liberalization, as well as the impact of information and knowledge economy. And this is influencing internationalization of higher education worldwide. We submit that higher education in Africa is facing new challenges, as well as being presented with opportunities resulting from a renewed impetus of IAG, which IAG is talking about. We argue that higher education in Africa will need to recognize and care to mitigate and address the risks associated with the number of academic challenges to set the stage for academic opportunities that was not about one of the private $200 million. What do you want to do? What you are saying? What was the $17? What you are $3 million? And I will be a young court. What's my Ghanaian? You are just. I didn't know what I did not process. I'm not going to process. What's the only cotton? What's the one that what's the contract? What is the contract? What is the contract? What is the contract? First of all, the 17 million, he has not been able to pay the 17 million. Sustainable national. Please, let me ask you. My friend, where you go? I think you can do it better. Let's give it up. He gave us the reasons why that phenomenon exists. And then he shifted to an interesting issue of the population expansion and the need for Africa to actually take advantage of this and train our human resource. Hence the need for us to play a major role in the internationalization sphere so that we are not left behind. We now have a chance to brainstorm, ask questions, put our heads together, and make something out of the presentation, as well as whatever we know about internationalization of higher education. So if we have any questions, I'd like you to raise your hand. We'll take a few comments, discussions, or suggestions, and then we'll take the next one. Thank you once again, Prof.
Anybody with a comment? Anybody with that question? Okay. Please come. I have the other one. Please come forward. Let's take one more. And then we would.
My name is Emmanuel. Roughly, I've had some experience with National Accreditation Board. The difficulty that some of our universities have had with accreditation also have led them to collaborate with other institutions